Hello and welcome to Connected. My name is Michelle Hardy and I am one of the program coordinators with the Saskatoon Industry-Education Council. We acknowledge we are on Treaty 6 territory and homeland of the Métis. I want to welcome students from across Saskatchewan joining us at our event this evening. For the past 2 decades, the Saskatoon Industry-Education Council has bridged the gap between Saskatchewan school systems and employers, providing experiential learning and career development opportunities for Saskatoon and area youth. As a registered nonprofit organization, we work in partnership with Saskatoon Public Schools, Greater Saskatoon Catholic Schools, Prairie Spirit School Division, and the Saskatoon Tribal Council, as well as community-based organizations, government agencies, and employers to help nurture the workforce of tomorrow. Last year, the SIEC worked with over 29,000 youth, over 600 business and post-secondary representatives, and more than 1,400 educators and career practitioners. Every year, we host over 40 programs and events, including our Skills Boot Camps, which provides students with a hands-on learning experience in various career pathways. Our Spotlight on Careers, which provides students with an insight into different career paths. And our Summer Youth Internship Program, which is a 6-week paid internship where students can gain work experience in construction, manufacturing, automotive, and the culinary industries. Students earn competitive wages and high school credits. Be sure to visit our website and stay up to date on our social media accounts to see all of our different program offerings. I want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors for our event this evening: the SIEC, the Government of Saskatchewan, WorkSafe Saskatchewan, and the Saskatchewan Health Authority. I also want to give a shout out to our Connected Planning Committee who put the work into making this event happen every year. In this case, this is our second event we're having. So Terry Fredette from Greater Saskatoon Catholic Schools, Peggy Matilda Baines from Prairie Spirit School Division, Deb Davies from the Saskatoon Fire Department, Riddell Genoway from Hometown Homes, Alicia Robb from the Saskatchewan Health Authority, Jesse Usselman from SIIT, and the team here at the SIEC, Janet Uchaz-Hart, Shanna Stewart, and Megan Unruh. Without this amazing team, this event would not be possible. So if you do not yet follow us on Instagram, you'll want to pull out your phones and head over to Instagram and give us a follow. Anyone who follows us and participates in the challenges throughout our event tonight will have the opportunity to win some great prizes. So follow us at Saskatoon IEC. So before we began, we posted our first Instagram challenge. It stated, "You are powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and brave." So please head over to Instagram and in the comments, tell us something you love or are most proud of about yourself. And I know this one can be difficult because a lot of times we don't think of what we love and what we're proud of about ourselves, but take a minute, think about it, and add your comments. I can't wait to see what you guys all have to say. Now let's get started with our event. So first off, thank you to both the students and mentors. We are happy you made the choice to join us tonight. Students, I hope you take the opportunity to learn from the amazing women who are on this call with us. Every woman here has made mistakes, been confused, and probably changed their mind numerous times in life, myself included. No one's career path is a straight line, and tonight you'll hear the stories from the different women sharing how their career paths have changed over the years. But whatever path you take, our goal is for you to have a career you love and a life that makes you happy. Throughout the evening, you will hear the stories, career goals, and life lessons from the mentors. During our event, we'll also have the chance to speak to one another in our breakout rooms. So when you do go into the breakout rooms, be sure to turn on your camera and microphone so you can be part of the conversation. And students, you were asked to tell me the career path you're interested in. And I want you to know I tried my very best to match you with mentors in a career path of interest to you, but that wasn't always possible. But what I do want you to remember is that every young girl and every mentor here tonight has an interesting story, and we can all learn from one another. So go into the breakout rooms with an open mind and take the time to ask questions, listen, and learn. My hope for tonight is both the mentors and the students leave feeling inspired and empowered. So I would now like to introduce our MC for the event. Erin Bariski is the co-owner of Briskey's Butcher Block in Saskatoon. Erin holds a degree in English literature from the University of Saskatchewan and has enjoyed a diverse career in media and the nonprofit sectors, and took the plunge into being a full-time business owner in 2017. She believes that learning is a lifelong objective, and entrepreneurship provides an opportunity through which she can continue learning new skills and share her skills with others. Her community-minded approach is what drives her to create opportunities to support the community that supports her businesses. In her spare time, she enjoys reading, spin class, and spending time with her husband, Andrew, and their cat, Q, and their dog, Sophie. So please welcome the lovely Erin Bariski.
Well, hello, everyone. It's so lovely to be here with you all tonight. I'm delighted to MC Connected tonight, and thank you very much for that kind introduction, Michelle. So tonight we will hear from two spotlight speakers, Katrina and Zeba, who are very excited to share their career paths with us. When they are speaking, please be sure to keep your mic muted and your camera turned off so we can all listen to the speakers. If you have any questions for the speakers, please put them in the chat. And I have been asked to remind you that although I'm sure we will all be respectful, to please keep your questions and comments on topic and appropriate, and that any inappropriate comments will result in removal from the event. The other thing that we're going to do tonight is participate in breakout rooms. So in the breakout room, we want you to turn both your camera and your mic on so you can share and participate. Remember that you have important things to say, both students and mentors, and we want you to share. Mentors, please take the opportunity to share your career paths and any lessons you may have learned along the way. And students, please take the opportunity to learn from these amazing women. Don't be shy. Michelle has also asked that I share a little bit about my story here and how I ended up as a vegetarian who owns a butcher shop. Seriously, I've been a vegetarian for over 30 years and I own a butcher shop. How is that for irony? I didn't and I don't have a straightforward career path. And if I can be very honest with you, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And I think that might be because I'm not there yet, which maybe sounds funny, but I think that might be because I still have a lot of years to work. Right around the time I graduated high school and started university, there was a YouTube video that circulated of Steve Jobs, one of the founders of Apple and Pixar, giving a commencement address at Stanford University. It really resonated with me. He talked about connecting the dots of his career journey. And I'm going to read you just a few sentences from his speech. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference. So the English nerd in me still kind of likes how he paraphrased Robert Frost there. But as someone who has spent some time in different careers now, this means a lot more to me now than it did when I was 19, because now I can start to look backwards and connect those dots in my life. I started working in radio when I was in university. I never wanted to be on air. Both then and now, I still much prefer to be the person behind the scenes. I worked in promotions and I loved it. I managed our street team. I worked on branding. I worked with nonprofits and community groups in the city. I planned events. I even planned a fundraising event that Justin Bieber tweeted about, and it crashed our station website. And over 10 years later, I'm still pretty proud of that. From my time at the radio station, I realized that what I really loved was working with community groups and nonprofits and planning events. So when I graduated university, that's what I did. I worked for a nonprofit. And I loved connecting with people in our community. And I loved that I still got to be behind the scenes. After working in nonprofit for a few years, My husband was struggling with expanding his business. He knew he needed to, he just didn't know how. So I would tell him, oh, that's easy. You hire a team like this, you manage them like this, you schedule them like this. I know all about that from managing the street team on the radio station. So he and I talked about it, and I decided that trying to work on that business when I got home at night just wasn't working anymore. So I would leave my job and we would work together. It was really scary, but it seemed like a good opportunity to step out of my comfort zone and learn something new. As we've taken over his parents' business, my work in the nonprofit sector has really shaped how I approach business in general. Not only does working in nonprofits teach you how to be very resourceful, but my experiences pushed us to look at how we engage in our community through partnerships, fundraisers, and even just corporate giving. Though it's been a bit of a tough year with COVID, I really believe that we can do good things in our community and do well in business at the same time, and those two things go hand in hand. I'm a vegetarian who owns a butcher shop after all. I am proof pudding that no matter what you do, you have to find the things that light you up. For me, it's engaging in our community, and it's working to create and foster a strong team who feel supported and successful in their roles. I also want to take this opportunity to shamelessly plug the fact that we hire every year for the Summer Youth Internship Program, and it is a fantastic program, and I really encourage you all to apply. So those are the very brief highlights of me connecting some of the dots looking backwards. I can honestly probably think of hundreds of examples, both big and small. And you know, there's often so much focus on looking towards the future, and I think looking towards the future is really important. Don't get me wrong, we all should. But I think there's also a lot of merit in looking backwards to connect those dots too. It's how you evaluate your growth. It's how you can see how far you've come. It's how you can recognize all of the things that you've learned and achieved in your life. I love the name and logo of this event, Connected, because for mentors, it's not only an opportunity to enjoy connecting with these amazing girls, but to also connect your own dots going backwards. For students, it's an opportunity for you to connect with women in our community and to look forward to all of the things that you want to accomplish in your lives. But remember, you can also look backwards too, at how much you've learned already and how you can apply those skills and talents to opportunities in your future. And on that note, I would like to introduce a woman whose work I sincerely admire, our first spotlight speaker, Zeba Ahmed. Zeba is a tireless volunteer locally in Saskatoon, provincially and nationally. She brings enthusiasm to all of her leadership roles. She has served as a past board chair of the Royal University Hospital Foundation and the Saskatoon Community Foundation. She is also a former inaugural chair of Canada's Great Kitchen Party, formerly Gold Medal Plates, Saskatoon, a former board member of the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency, a member of the leadership team for the Thundering Ahead campaign for Wanuskewin Heritage Park, board chair for the Saskatoon Public Schools Foundation, and most recently, she has been appointed to the Rideau Hall Foundation Board of Directors. For her community involvement, Zeba has received the Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers in 2007 from the Governor General and was named a Top 100 Alumni of Influence of the College of Pharmacy and Nutrition in 2014. She was also the recipient of the Leadership Saskatoon Community Leadership Award in 2016. She will be serving as the Honorary Colonel for the 38th Engineering Regiment in the spring of 2021. She began her professional career as a pharmacist and practiced in Ontario and Saskatchewan for over 20 years. Prior to her current roles, she worked as a business development executive at EY Saskatoon for 7 years. She is proud to serve the Saskatoon Public Schools Foundation as the executive director, and she also provides public relations consulting services for NextGen Energy. Zeba is passionate about Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and Canada. Her parents instilled in her the importance of community. She believes all of us have a responsibility to contribute to the wellness of our community professionally and socially. Zeba is most proud of her 2 children. Both are alumni of the University of Saskatchewan. Faraz completed his law degree, and Sakina works as an engineer in Calgary. Let's welcome Zeba.
Thank you. Sorry about that. It's a little glitch. Thank you, Erin, for those kind words, and good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be here. I'm very honored to be here, and I look forward to the rest of the event and hearing Katrina's story and going into the breakout sessions and hopefully having some one-on-one conversations. I'm going to sort of cover a little bit about what Erin said. I love what you were saying about your life too, Erin. I see that in my life, and anyways, I'll tell you a little bit about it. I always feel a little bit uncomfortable talking about myself and my career journey. I never expected to have more than one career, especially coming from an immigrant family, but that's where I will start. First of all, I would actually like to wish everyone an Eid Mubarak. Today is a very special day for Muslims around the world, myself included. So just wanted to say Eid Mubarak. So I've lived in Saskatoon most of my life, other than a few years in Eastern Canada. We were one of the first Indian Pakistani families to come to Saskatoon in 1967 from the United States, which is where I was born. And, you know, those who immigrated in that day, you know, they left the security of home, family. They came to far away, unknown places, not knowing where they were going to put down roots. And that was all without the communication of today. And I think that's a really big difference when I think about how my parents used to talk about family back home, and they might get a letter from them every couple of months and not knowing what was going on. I think it was really hard for the family. And so I am so blessed and I feel so fortunate to have had a very close family here. Everyone became family when you met somebody else who was in the same situation. So it wasn't easy, but, and like I said, I still carry that immigrant mentality within me, but Saskatoon has been absolutely a wonderful place to raise a family and hopefully leave a legacy. So my career started out very typical. I studied to be a pharmacist, basically because that year I didn't get into medical school, which if you know anything about East Indian families, there's a lot of pressure to go into medicine. But being a pharmacist was a great career. I practiced for over 20 years. It gave me lots of different opportunities. I taught at the University of Saskatchewan here at the College of Pharmacy and Nutrition. There was a lot of variety, and I'm really thankful for those experiences. And though I have not practiced as a pharmacist for over 10 years, the skills and the credibility of a university education have stayed with me. And to be honest, especially being a brown woman in the business sector, and that's the reality sometimes of my days when I go into meetings. So I am very grateful for that opportunity. But since then, I've run for provincial politics. I've worked for a metabolic research company. I've worked at an accounting firm. And now I am the executive director of a not-for-profit and a consultant for a uranium development company. And similar to Erin, it's a bit of a joke in my family that it's taken me this long to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. And I'm way closer to retirement than in the beginning of my career, but I'm pretty happy about that. It's been a really interesting ride. And you know, some of you may know exactly what you want to do, but that may not be the case for all of you. And if that's you, don't sweat it, embrace it. You know, I wonder how all of these things have happened in my life. And it might sound corny, but the one constant through my journey, which also gives me the greatest pride, is to be a woman, to be a daughter, and more than anything, to be a mother. Don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of challenges because I'm a woman, I'm a visible minority, I'm petite, whatever. They come up with, you know, all kinds of categories to put you in. But at the end of the day, if I can honestly say to my kids that, you know, I did my best and I know they're proud of me, then I know I've done a good thing. But a lot of the opportunities that have come to me are almost 100% because of my community involvement. I am passionate about Saskatoon, our province, and our country. And volunteering was the best way for me to contribute in a way that I felt I could contribute. I started fundraising for my kids' schools or managing their soccer teams or helping in high school graduations. But it did progress from there. I went on to fundraising for some of the largest projects in Saskatchewan, the Wanuskewin project. We brought back the buffalo, the bison. That was a $40 million campaign at the Public Schools Foundation. Right now, we've launched a $20 million campaign to ensure all kids can read grade 3 and grade 3. So, you know, you just never know where something might lead to. And I've been so fortunate to be on different committees, different boards of different organizations. And some of that may seem far into your future, and maybe in some ways it is. But again, I don't think it is. It's never too soon to start. I encourage each and every one of you to get involved, whatever interests you. And you might just, even if you're interested and you think there's nothing, well, I don't know anything yet, just go there, take the opportunity to learn, but get involved, because you never know where one connection might lead. At Saskatoon Public Schools, we're recently just supporting a group of graduates of one of the high schools in Saskatoon, and through the pandemic, they reached out to us and have started a fantastic initiative you might have heard of, Campbox YXE, and that's to help students who, you know, through school closure, through summer, with boxes with science projects in it. Another recent grad I know was just interested in the reality that kids in Saskatoon, many kids don't have books at home. So she's started the Dolly Parton Imagination Library right here in Saskatoon. So there's lots of ways to get involved. Like I said, you know, whatever interests you, don't be afraid. I know a lot of these things aren't always easy, and they aren't easy. And many times I know I felt intimidated many, many times. Did I know enough? You know, I wasn't a big shot at a corporation. I don't have millions of dollars to donate. I'm from an immigrant family, but I know I had the time, I had the passion, I had the determination to do my best. And as I look back on maybe a uniqueness that I brought to the table, it was that I always considered myself just a mom. I still get emotional, and sometimes that's worked against me, but I've stayed true to myself, and I know in the long run that that has been the right thing to do. And I am so grateful for the opportunity that I had to volunteer, to be on these committees and boards. I learned so much from so many, and I took every moment as a learning experience. Every staff member, every board member, you know, everybody was a mentor in some way. And honestly, the best thing that came out of it was the relationships. So many of them are good friends. It's a bit of a joke in the city that, well, Zeba knows everybody. And that has come through opportunities of volunteering and getting involved in community organizations. It is very rewarding. And I think we as women, and maybe more so in my generation, I think we've always had to think we have to prove ourselves worthy of opportunities. We have to work 10 times as hard. But the learning never hurts. And I feel proud of the moments when I was able to conduct myself, usually in a room of, you know, affectionately say in a room of suits. I was able to conduct myself very capably. And when I say suits, that's, you know, very old school, usually men who have very set ways, the kindest people, but also didn't always realize that how intimidating that room can be for someone like me. I think we bring a personal element or to those rooms as well. And there's a lot of times those can be perceived as weaknesses. But we, and first and foremost, we have to believe that's a strength. And I know it is our strength, and that's taken me time here and there to figure that out, but you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in what you can bring to that table. And I know some of this may sound outdated, and maybe some of it is. I hope it is outdated, but I also know that it's not outdated yet. We still have work to do. My daughter, as Erin said, is an engineer in the oil and gas sector in Calgary. So some things have changed. I think I know when she walks into a meeting, she knows, but it doesn't even come up to her that she doesn't even think that she's not equal to the men in the room, and most of them are men. However, she still goes to into the oil patch, and there isn't even a bathroom for her out there. So yes, some things have changed, but some things have not changed and we still have a ways to go. But she has said to me, you know, growing up and being around me, she goes, Mom, I used to watch you interact with people, and especially those suits. And she goes, she has now learned not to be intimidated. They're just people, just like us. And so take the opportunity to observe, to learn from both men and women. I just, you know, in the last few minutes, I just want to spend a bit of time talking about what I think might have been the most pivotal time for my career and changing career. I'm not sure what led to it, but I at one point decided or was convinced to run for provincial politics. And I remember my first reactions were, well, why me? I'm not qualified. Who would, you know, want to see somebody like me there? But I did decide to do it. And I never thought I would do something so outside my comfort zone, but it was one of the best things I ever did. I didn't win, but I definitely didn't lose. For all the community things that I do now, the network that I built, the relationships that I built by doing that, I am very fortunate to be able to pick up a phone and call somebody in government and say, look, I think this is really important, please listen. So like I said, you just never know where a connection might lead to the next time. But you know, it more than anything opened my eyes to so much more about life, about opportunity, and mostly about myself. I grew up in a reserved, conservative immigrant family, and here I was out there door knocking day after day, putting myself out there. And, you know, I always worried, okay, my name is different, or I'm a visible minority. Maybe that'll be a problem. Honestly, it never came up. But what came up was, oh, your hair looks different than on your brochure. Oh, are those shoes comfortable when you're door knocking? Or, oh, how can you manage to, do this and have kids? Now, I know some things have changed, but like I said, some things haven't. But I'm really glad that I can look back on a lot of those moments, know that I went very much outside my comfort zone, but did the best I could. I can say that even Premier Brad Wall had after the fact said, you ran one of the best campaigns in the province. We had a lot of fun. I brought the East Indian culture to it. We had aunties cooking. We had fundraisers with Bollywood dancing. So, you know, sometimes those things might be considered, unusual, but we embraced it and we did the best that we could. So it was something for me, a really good learning. I had been so afraid of rejection. Yet once I got started, once I got door knocking, took that deep breath and just kept on going. And it taught me more about myself than probably anything ever has. So in closing, I just, like to say that you as young women have so much ahead of you. There are challenges out there, but look to those around you, learn from them, gain support from them. And a follow-up to that is, it is more important than anything that women support women. I mean, it's great for us to say that men should support women as they should, but we have to support each other. And the more that women succeed in whatever career path, whatever, and it doesn't have to be career, whatever life path they choose, the more that they succeed, we will all succeed. And education is important, and that doesn't mean it has to be a university degree. I do know for me personally, and maybe it's a generation thing, but having that university degree, walking into some of these boardrooms did help. But I think it's more about the qualification. That's something that's yours, that will always be there. Nobody can take that away from you, and it doesn't have to define you. Pharmacy doesn't define me. Zeba defines me. And that's what I feel so strongly about that. And I want young women more so, like, let you who you are define you. Your career is a part of you, or your choice to be at home or become involved in community. That's all part of who you are. And so I just encourage all of you to be open to opportunity, to reach out for support, to get involved, and to support each other more than anything. So in closing, I just like to say good luck. And yeah, I look forward to seeing all the amazing things so many of you I know are going to do in your future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Zeba. I loved your message about doing things your way. It was incredible. So to change things up, we're going to go over to Instagram now. So please find that SIEC Instagram post that you can see on your screen here and tag the successful women in your life who inspire you and always have your back in life. But I'd now like to introduce another amazing woman who will share some of her experiences with us, Katrina German. Katrina German is an award-winning entrepreneur specializing in communications, technology, and digital strategy. She works with organizations around North America to make good ideas louder. A seasoned executive, leader, and strategist, she has reached millions of people through digital storytelling and online media. Katrina is in the CBC Future 40 Under 40, has won the YWCA Women of Distinction Award for Entrepreneurship, Startup Canada Prairie Award for Innovation, represented Canada at the G20 YEA Summit in Berlin, and won the prestigious International Women in Tech Award for Women in Communications. When she launched her book, Action Tracking, Master Your Digital Marketing Strategy in Under 30 Days, she appeared as a tech expert on TV shows around Canada, including The Social. Katrina is a strong believer in measured results, radical creativity, and using technology to improve workflow. It's my pleasure to welcome Katrina German. My apologies, Katrina.
No problem. Thank you so much, Erin. I really appreciate that introduction. I'm absolutely passionate and I'm so excited to be here because I can't wait to talk a little bit about my career into entrepreneurship. And also I'm a massive advocate for having more women in technology careers. And that doesn't always mean becoming a developer. It can mean a lot of different things, but you know, development too, there's a lot of opportunities there. So in the meantime, I'm just going to start at the beginning and kind of walk through my life. And I've taken a lot of twists and turns. So I was making a joke in the earlier breakout that, you know, I've made a career of different careers. And, but basically I'm hoping that what you take away is that this idea of following your passion. And, you know, sometimes you're in positions that may not exactly be what you thought you were going to be. There's always something to be learning, but there's always this opportunity to, you know, as you learn more about yourself and have more experiences, there's opportunities to take on new challenges. And finally, you know, over time, you're going to start to develop and understand, you know, this is the career path for me. This is my path and I love it. And so following your own goals and your own path, that's, you know, what I'm hoping that you get out of this. So I grew up in small towns around Saskatchewan, Estevan, Young, Edam, Marshall, Dinsmore, Maidstone, Macklin. Yes, my dad was a teacher and then a principal's daughter, I'm a principal, but you know, I'm a principal's daughter. So that might explain a few things about my rebelliousness. But as a teenager, but in the meantime, you know, I never really knew what I wanted to do, but you always get that question, you know, what are you going to do when you're growing up? And in these small towns, I didn't have a lot of, you know, there wasn't a lot of options for women at that time. You know, it was kind of, you could go into healthcare, you could, you know, go into banking in the, you know, the small town bank, but there's usually only 3 jobs per small town. You know, there was, you know, the idea that you could, you know, go into hair and potentially, you know, become a teacher is another one. But, you know, really the one that, you know, that was okay, you know, and it was something that was exciting for women to do that was going to be high achieving was moving into law. And so I thought I was going to be a lawyer. And I've always been a person who kind of roots for the underdog and always tries to, you know, try to figure out a way to, you know, just, you know, redistribute power, I guess. And so, you know, when I went into, you know, I'm also a very, I'm one of those people who's, I'm ambitious. And so even in grade 6, I was like, oh, I'm going into law. People like it when I say I'm going into law. And so, you know, I started debating. And so I debated from grade 6 on because I knew that would get me into law if I got good at that. And went to university at the University of Saskatchewan. And I got the opportunity to represent the University of Saskatchewan at World Debate Championships. And I had 2 years of a history degree under my belt because I was going to get into law, and I was told that was a great way to do it. I went there. I was going to come back and write my LSATs and, just really own law. And I went there. And, while I was sitting there, doing this thing, it was in Athens, Greece, my first time traveling. I was away from home over Christmas. It was a really kind of overwhelming thing, but I was so glad I had done it to have those experiences. But in the meantime, things happened there. Like, we were on different teams of different people, and someone cheated off of me, it just, things kept happening. And by the time I left that experience, I was like, I'm not going to go into law. These are the best lawyers in the world. They're going to be. And I don't think I want to be a part of this environment. Now, this is not saying, this is not brushing all the legal profession with that brush. There's a lot of incredible lawyers out there who are making incredible differences. But at that point for me, it just wasn't, it just wasn't the right path. I just knew that I was supposed to do something else, but I had no idea what. So I'd already started my history degree. I always, enjoyed learning and having those stories. So I just thought, well, I'll just finish this out. And as it turns out, I thought maybe I could get into museums or something like that with that degree. It turns out that museums, there's only a few of them in Saskatchewan. The people who have those jobs, they hold on tight. There's, it's not a big turnover and not a huge area to get into. And I just could not find a job. And so I went through a program that basically just matched unemployed students with employers, and I really lucked out. I was picked up by Read Saskatoon, who is a nonprofit organization here in Saskatoon, who helped adults and families and learn how to read and write and work on literacy skills and financial literacy. And it's a really incredible organization. And, I just started there because, they let me, it was cheap labor, essentially. They got me through a program, but man, did it open my eyes. And I had the opportunity to work with nonprofit organizations all around Saskatoon, work in the inner city Saskatoon, and just really learn about our city, about myself, about how much I enjoyed helping people, and also, things like how to run a program and how to, advertise a program and things like that. And another huge thing that came out of it is that, because I was working in adult literacy, we were trying really hard to, work on your communication so that it was accessible to as many people as possible and using plain language. And so those skills have really helped me now that I work so much in communications, because it was just really a powerful way to, to pick up those things. Then my life zigzagged again. My husband at the time decided that we were going to move to his family farm, and I became a farmer for 6 years. At the same time, I worked for Saskatchewan Literacy Network and got the opportunity to work from the farm, but also work with other organizations around Saskatchewan. So instead of just focusing in Saskatoon, I got to kind of have a provincial scope. And I also started to learn how the government worked a little bit, how, because that, nonprofits work on grants. And so it was a really important time for me to just start to understand how a lot of these things kind of work together. And I was also given a lot of opportunities as a young person to sort of establish and really work on my skills. And I'm forever grateful for the early mentors in my career. After that, so I moved from farmer, and when that relationship didn't work out, I got a beautiful award of 2 wonderful boys. But in the meantime, I moved back to Saskatoon, and here I was in this real pickle, to be honest. I, was a single mother with 2 small kids. Things, were getting sorted out. And so I was basically moved, from a house to a mattress with 2 little boys, on an apartment off of Broadway. And I was like, what now? And I know this sounds like a sob story, but I felt so empowered. I was so ready to be like, what can I do with my life? I've got this open book in front of me, and now I can just write in it. So during that time, I decided, and I started working in film and television, because I was like, I want to be able to communicate some very, big ideas with people. And at that time, this is, just social media was just getting started. This was the way, television was the way, but it was crazy expensive. I was trying to be sort of an entrepreneur producer, basically just trying to break into this industry with no experience. And not surprisingly, I had a challenging time, because it was film and television is a wonderful industry, but you kind of have to work your way up. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to jump in and, jump to the top. But in the meantime, I realized that you know, even through that process, even though I was completely unsuccessful as a television producer, I absolutely just learned so much in terms of building relationships, networking, the power of a handshake and the not power of a handshake, and you know, deals falling through and that sort of thing. In the meantime, I was tweeting about all of this happening. You know, I was basically, you know, creating trying to create a documentary series and get these things out. And I just started, you know, I was one of the earliest people in Saskatoon on Twitter, and just started talking about, here's my process. Hey, I'm reaching out to these guys. Hey, you know, another day of, you know, pitching and having people not respond to my emails, you know, things like that. And it really started to get some momentum. And while I was in that space, I was like, wow, there's a lot of power here. You know, just me sitting in my apartment basement, I can, you know, just, you know, I can reach a lot of people. And I started to look at, and this again in the very early days of Twitter, but I started to look at, I thought I could see, I think I can see how to make things trend. I bet I could put together a project and make something trend. So I, you know, pulled together a few local businesses, and we, you know, and I went back, you know, I basically, we just did this whole thing. We had a photographer, a makeup person. I was talking about being a digital strategist, and basically we all just, you know, took some photos and posted them, and we reached thousands of people, you know, we're all small businesses with low budgets. And I was just like, wow, you can really reach people with this stuff. So that, let's pick it up a notch. Again, the social impact came into this play. And I thought, you know, if we can make that, you know, get out there and reach that many people with that kind of almost free advertising, what could we do if we applied this to, like, you know, a social cause? So at which point I went back to my old crew at the Saskatchewan Literacy Network and Read Saskatoon, and we put together a big national project with Post Media. At that time, they were partnered on a big project called Raise a Reader, where a bunch of volunteers would go out and they'd sell newspapers on the corner of cities around Canada, and all money brought in would go to literacy organizations. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we attached a hashtag to this? And this is, again, very early days of social media. So we did. And Post Media put the hashtag Raise a Reader on the newspaper, on the front page of every newspaper across Canada. And it was absolutely amazing. That morning we woke up and I could watch Raise a Reader trend across Canada in every single city as people were waking up and getting their papers and going to check that hashtag. We reached 2.4 million people that day with the idea, read to your kids. And I thought, now that is power. Now there's something there. So I got, like, I absolutely, you know, just loved this thing. But again, like, you know, you have to be able, you know, your kids want to eat every single day. And so I needed to be able to make some money. So I turned out I was one of the, you know, the first social media strategists in the city, because Paddock Wood brewery was actually, you know, he's a friend of mine, and he said, you know what, let's try this. I'll pay you. Let's organize this. And because we put everything in digital, and again, these were in the early days, it was much easier to reach people than it is right now. But we were able to just completely increase his sales like crazy in the early days of that. And he took everything off of traditional marketing into digital strategy. So I could see the power. And it was just amazing to watch how we could help businesses, how you could communicate with people and really connect with people you would never have a chance to connect with before. So from there, things evolved. I started trying to take on clients and such. And one day I was talking about the Raise a Reader campaign and at a public event. And my former business partner approached me, and he was also a social impact entrepreneur, and he's also a developer. And he said, listen, let's do something just for the good of humanity. I'll build it, you share it, and we'll just do a little something off the side of our desks. Well, we went, and I always called it beer storming. We just talked about ideas, and essentially, we both had this passion for senior stories. And then from there, it evolved into this idea, well, everybody has a story that others can learn from. And then from there, it evolved into this idea that organizations and nonprofits and change organizations across the world, they all have a need to tell these stories so that people understand their impact. And because if you don't see it, you don't see someone who can't read, or having difficulty with that component and what that means for their life, it just doesn't, you lose a bit of that impact. And so basically we ended up putting together, and we just thought it was going to be a side project, but we ended up putting together a technology that went around the world. We had people using it from, all sorts of countries, I think 38 different countries. We were big in Albania. That was one of the places. United Nations Women was using the platform to have been in Albania, stand up for women's rights. So it was a really incredible life experience and journey to take that on. And I never thought I'd be in tech. Are you kidding me? When I had my history degree and all that sort of thing, when my life zagged and I went into technology, it just never even occurred to me. And while I was there, I really started to just get passionate about it, because one of the things I learned, through experience and just through talking to people, is that women only represent between about 5 and 6% of technology founders in Canada. And so, kind of one of the issues about that is that, if technology is shaping the future, we need everybody involved in creating that future. And so it really caused me to become incredibly passionate about doing and creating different events to try to encourage more women in this space. And I think, again, there's so many different ways of getting into technology. Like there's, the developers, if you have that kind of a logical brain, or, even creative, actually, like I always say, developers are creating poetry, they're creating entire worlds with what they're writing. But there's also business development, there's marketing, there's just, any business, any position that you would have in a regular industry, you also have in tech. And I think there's so much opportunity for women to get involved and to start sharing our stories and the things that are important to us and start shaping that future together. So I'm incredibly passionate about that. So I've gone back, my technology company went under, and it was a very traumatic thing. It was just, it was devastating at the time. And and I, ended up in debt, and I just thought, I'm never going to do this again. But do you think I've learned my lesson? Heck no. It's always about getting back up on that horse and really finding that passion about getting there. Sorry, there was just a comment that came up. Healthcare professionals and tech skills are a very good combination. Absolutely. If you have an interest in a certain industry, or you've worked in that industry in any form, taking those skills and making a technology that's going to make that more efficient or make it easier for people to do their jobs, like that's helping people. That's true impact. And, healthcare is a massive area that's just ripe to, to have some change in it. So, it doesn't mean that you have to be like, I want to create a tech project. You may decide, hey, I want to solve poverty in Swift Current, I don't know. And there may be a tech solution for it, because technology is all about solving problems. And so really just, it's a different approach to getting there. So anyway, I'm hoping, I won't go too much longer. I think my time is getting close. But, even though I've had a lot of ups and downs in my career, I'm hoping that, that idea and zigs and zags, I'm now I'll go back. I'm now in the position where I'm launching a new initiative. We already have 7 people working with us. We do digital strategy for companies around North America already, but we're also launching our new initiative called Ethical Digital. And basically, this has given me the opportunity to study and make big impact around ideas about how do we get more women into technology? How do we get more women into venture capital, which funds a lot of technology and the internet? And also, how does social media and all of our involvement in social media impact our well-being? And so I get to explore these areas. And because I'm an entrepreneur, I get to kind of set my own path. I have to figure out how to pay for other people to come along with that path for me, and have employees, and make sure that we can really effectively gather those things. But it's been such an incredible and exciting journey to get to this position where, you get to basically write, what your own future is going to be. And so if I can leave you with anything, it's, you probably don't know what you're going to want to do. I hope you zig and zag through, nonprofit and all these different places until you find the right thing that's going to be calling you. But, never be afraid if you get into that position. If you're that type of personality who wants to just step out and chart your own path, there's so much value for women standing up, sharing things, solving problems from our perspectives, and potentially using technology to solve that problem too. So thank you so much, for having me here. If someone asks you what you want to do when you grow up, just say, I want to and just make up a name. I'm going to create hot tubs for helicopters, something like that, because you never know where you're gonna end. So thank you very much for having me here today. I'm looking for the forward to the breakout rooms afterwards as well.
Thank you so much for sharing, Katrina. I love that, hot tubs for helicopters. That's amazing. So on that note, on the note of women in tech and social media, let's go back to the SIEC Instagram, if everyone can pull that up. And this time, oh, sorry, a little technical glitch there. So we're going to go back to Instagram. This time, we'd like you all to comment what you can do to inspire the women in your life. So before, we tagged women who inspired us, and now we want you to tell us what you can do to inspire other women in your life. So I'll give everybody just a couple minutes to do that. I'm going to do it too. Oops.
So I want to thank our spotlight speakers once again, Zeba and Katrina, for sharing their stories with us. You both had such inspirational words about the careers that you've had. The hot tub helicopter, I don't know if I'll ever forget that saying now, Katrina, and Zeba just telling us to, if it scares us, to still try it. And so I really appreciated you guys taking the time to be here with us tonight. Also, thank you to our mentors who also gave up their time to be here. I know everyone's lives are crazy right now and we're all sick of staring at a computer screen, but an event like this could not happen without you. So thank you so much. And thank you, students, for giving your time as well to be here and learn from these women. Thank you, Erin, for being part of our event this year. We usually have the legendary Deb Davies MC our event, and Erin was willing to step in and fill those shoes this year, and you did a fantastic job, and we're very lucky to hear your story. I love hearing every time you talk about being the vegetarian who owns a butcher shop. So please share your feedback with us, students. We offer events similar to this throughout the year, and we love to hear what you liked, what you didn't like, what we could do different in the future. So take a minute or two, give the QR code a scan. If you don't have your phone out right now, I will email you a link as well to provide us with feedback. And I don't know if I told you this yet tonight, but at the IEC, we love prizes. So anyone who commented today on an Instagram post, you're going to be in for some draws for some awesome prizes, and anyone who provides us with feedback also has a chance to win. So give the QR scan and let us know your feedback. I will ask that you give feedback by midnight on Tuesday. So you have a few days, you have the weekend. If you're lying in bed on Saturday morning with nothing to do, then give us some feedback and you can hopefully win an awesome prize. I asked you all to follow us on Instagram, but be sure to follow us on our other socials as well to stay up to date on what we have going on. And we also have our YouTube channel, which is a great resource. If you weren't in attendance at our first Connected this year, then you can head over to our YouTube channel and watch the speakers who shared their stories with us in November. And we've also hosted a whole whack of career exploration events this year in almost every sector that you can think of. So if you are interested in a career and maybe you didn't have the opportunity tonight to speak with someone in that particular area, then head to our YouTube channel. There may be a video there that does talk with people in a particular area that may be of interest to you, and we'd love for you to use that resource. And finally, let's keep the conversation going. So we've asked you all night to comment on our post. So one last time, I'd like you to tell us what you're going to take away from tonight. What did you learn tonight that may impact you moving forward? What will you remember? What words of wisdom are really going to stick with you? I know the very first Connected I ever attended, where Deb was one of the spotlight speakers, her mantra is always, "You got this." And that's what sticks with me. And whenever I'm doubting myself or I have that imposter syndrome, like Erin spoke about, then those are the words I try to tell myself when I try to convince myself. So let us know, what did you learn tonight? What are you going to take moving forward? And we hope to see you at our events in the future. So thanks again for joining us, and have a great night.